one.
Sorry?
This seems to be better one.
This one?
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yamuna Tiravana Chahade. Yamuna Tiravana. Yamuna Tiravana Chahade. Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagi ki jai. Grantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Iskon Guru Vrinda ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Om Agantmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yana Bhutale Swayam Rupakadam Hayam Dadati Swapanantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhutai Mahatpiryai Mapuro Vibhur Nirmaya Kshatiyada Musha Purusha Mukte Gunan Sudasa Sudasutmaka Hilang Krishista Bhagavan Vacham Sime. Hare Krishna. So nice to see all the Vaishnavas in Sydney. And so we'll be reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 4, the atrocities of King Kamsa, text 27. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shoka Harsha Bhayadvesha. Shoka Harsha Bhayadvesha. Lobha Moha Madanvitaha. Lobha Moha Madanvitaha. Mito Gnantam na Pashyanti. Mito Gnantam na Pashyati. Bhavair Bhavam Pritagdrisha. Bhavair Bhavam Pritagdrisha. Shoka Harsha Bhayadvesha. Lobha Moha Madanvita. Mito Gnantam na Pashyanti. Bhavair Bhavam Pritagdrisha. Shoka Harsha Bhayadvesha. Lobha Moha Madanvita. Mito Gnantam na Pashyanti. Bhavair Bhavam Pritagdrisha. Shoka Harsha Bhayadvesha. Mito Gnantam na Pashyanti. Bhavair Bhavam Pritagdrisha. Shoka Harsha Bhayadvesha. Shoka Harsha Bhayadvesha. Lobha Moha Madanvita. Lobha Moha Madanvita. Mito Gnantam na Pashyanti. Mito Gnantam na Pashyanti. Bhavair Bhavam Pritagdrisha. Bhavair Bhavam Pritagdrisha. Shoka, lamentation. Harsha, jubilation. Bhaya, fear. Dvesha, envy. Lobha, greed. Moha, illusion. Mada, madness. Anpitaha, endowed with. Midha, one another. Gnantam, engaged in killing. Napashyanti, do not see. Bhavai, because of such differentiation. Bhavam, the situation in relation to the Supreme Lord. Pritagdrisha, persons who see everything as separate from the control of the Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Persons with the vision of differentiation are imbued with the material qualities: lamentation, jubilation, fear, envy, greed, illusion, and madness. After all this, it's not surprise to get mad, right? After you become exposed to lamentation, jubilation, fear, envy, greed, and illusion. I guess madness is the ultimate result of the material existence. They are influenced by the immediate cause, which they are busy counteracting because they have no knowledge of the remote supreme cause, the personality of Godhead. Purport. Krishna is the cause of all causes, sarva karana karanam, but one who has no connection with Krishna is disturbed by immediate causes and cannot restrain his vision of separation or differences. When an expert physician treats a patient, he tries to find the original cause of the disease and is not diverted by the symptoms of that original cause. Similarly, a devotee is never disturbed by reverses in life. Tattenu kampam susmikshamana, Bhagavatam 10:14-8. A devotee understands that when he is in distress, this is due to his own past misdeeds, which are now accruing reactions, although by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, these are only very slight. Karmani nittahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam, Brahma Samhita 5:54. When a devotee under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to suffer because of faults in his past deeds, he passes through only a little misery by the grace of the Lord. Although the disease of a devotee is due to mistakes committed some time in the past, he agrees to suffer and tolerate such miseries, and he depends fully on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he is never affected by material conditions of lamentation, jubilation, fear, and so on. A devotee never sees anything to be unconnected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Vacharya, quoting from the Bhavishya Purana, says, Bhagavad darshanat yasya viroda darshanam prithak drishti sa vigya natu sadbheda darshana. Interesting, Prabhupada never gives any translation to this verse. So, but from whatever little I know from the Sanskrit, it says that one who is seeing the Supreme Lord doesn't see anything as different or separated from the Supreme Lord. And because everything is connected with the Lord, which is the same thing stated in many places throughout all the Shastra. And therefore Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita 6:30, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati sacha mena Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati tasyaham na pranashami sacha mena pranashati. So he's saying that one who is seeing me everywhere, Yomam pashyati sarvatra, and sarvam chamai pashyati, and one who is seeing everything in me, tasyaham na pranashami, I will never be lost to such a devotee, sachamena pranashati, and I will never lose him also. So we will always be connected, right? And so this is the first thing which here, first and foremost thing which Vasudeva is explaining to Kamsa that all the troubles in life are only for one reason. What's the reason? Yeah, forgetfulness of Krishna. So once we forget Krishna, or once we turn away from Krishna, then all the troubles start, right? Krishna bahir mukahana Boga vanchakare Nikatesta mayatare japati athare. That Krishna bahir mukha means turning face away from Krishna. And why people turn their face away from Krishna? Because Bhoga vanchakare. They want to enjoy material life, right? Because it's Krishna's, right? So if I remember it is Krishna's, how can I enjoy? But I have to forget it is Krishna's, right? So I have to turn away from Krishna to enjoy. And then what's the result of this enjoyment? Nikatasta mayadhare japati adhare. Nikatasta mayadhare japati adhare. That Maya is giving unlimited miseries, right? Because of this forgetfulness of Krishna. Krishna Bhuliya say Jeev Anadir Bahir Mukha because since long time in the material world living entities are forgetful of Krishna, and then Maya is giving them unlimited miseries, samsaradi dukkha. So this is a very simple but very important thing to understand, including us practicing devotees, because after all scriptures like Bhagavatam are meant for devotees, right? And so actually this is an important thing for us to be mindful of, that every single trouble in life is because of the forgetfulness of Krishna. And every single advantage is because of the remembrance of Krishna, right? And the important thing to take into consideration is that it doesn't mean that because we're chanting Hare Krishna, then there will be no more diseases, no more old age, right? And no more death. Once I started chanting Hare Krishna, I'll grow 2 more hands and become very handsome and live forever, right? And walk around, like that. And everybody will be coming to me and asking, what happened to you? And I'll say, yes, I became spiritual. No, it's not going to happen, right? At least there have not been no recorded cases in the material world, something like that happening to anyone. So, and sometimes we say, material world means birth, death, old age, disease, threefold miseries, right? And Krishna consciousness is the only remedy for that. And then people may ask, how is that? I do not see that those people who chant Hare Krishna, they never fall sick, they do not grow old, they do not have any trouble. Oh, they go through all these things. So, how is that Krishna consciousness relieves one from all these things? But the actual understanding is that you don't become free externally from these things, but because your consciousness is changing, your perception is changing, then these things do not bother you anymore. right? It's like there is a saying that you cannot cure sclerosis or Alzheimer's, whatever the case may be, but you can forget about it, right? So, I mean, once your consciousness changes, why should you care about anything, whatever's happening with you, right, materially? And then this change of consciousness, it doesn't mean that you become kind of numb, you know, that your nervous system shuts down and then whatever happens to you, you don't feel it, right? That actually there is such health condition also. It's one of the diseases that the nervous system malfunctions, and then one can, you know, be injured or anything, whatever happened to the body, one doesn't feel it, right? You cut your hand, you don't even feel the pain, you know, just blood dripping, etc. So it doesn't mean that you become like that. You become numb, deaf and dumb. This is not the spiritual perfection Shastra is talking about. The spiritual perfection is that, you know, instead of becoming like a piece of wood or stone, you know, like I don't care about whatever's happening to me, right? This is actually more like the goal of impersonalists. They want to become nothing, right? They want to merge into nothingness, and in this way, as Prabhupada says, commit spiritual suicide. No, devotee feels everything, all the troubles, yes, pain, but then how is that devotee's consciousness is different? Because devotee perceives everything as Krishna's mercy. Whatever happens, devotee is happy with that. That's real Krishna consciousness, right? That I don't think, I hope that none of us joined this movement to become like, you know, completely oblivious to what's going on and completely isolated from life. No. Life is given by Krishna and everything is given by Krishna. And so if we are Krishna conscious, instead of like not perceiving anything, not feeling anything, we have to feel bliss, right? Of course, if you don't feel anything in the material world, right? And because the material world is kind of place of trouble, when you become isolated from the trouble, then you can feel peaceful for a while, right? Like at night, if you go to sleep, you can feel peaceful. But, I mean, if you would have to sleep for more than 10, 12 hours, I guess that's like maximum. Well, some people manage longer. But if you have to sleep for a very long time, you will feel miserable because of that sleep also, right? So that's why Krishna conscious solution is not just to become peaceful, right? Otherwise it's, resting in peace. That's not the perfection of life. But Krishna consciousness is to become blissful. This is what we have to strive for, right? We have to very clearly understand that this is the goal. not just to become free from miseries, not to eliminate pain, but actually feel happy. Because this is the ultimate need of the soul, Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam. And so the question is always, how can you be happy in the world of misery? And the answer is very simple. Be happy with the misery. This is what actually Krishna consciousness is meant. I mean, we're not saying that Krishna's devotees are like, what do you call them, masochists? They enjoy pain, there are some people enjoy pain. The more pain, the better it is, right? It's called masochism. Also very strange psychological condition. No, it's not that we are enjoying pain, but we are enjoying our relationship with Krishna. And so if Krishna is giving pain, it's all right, right? And because devotee is seeing that it's Krishna, whatever is happening with me is happening according to Krishna's will, Krishna's desire, then even if it is pain, it's all right. And therefore devotee never feels miserable. It's very interesting how Srila Prabhupada, in one morning walk, he was telling the devotees that material world means only misery, and nevertheless some living entities are so much absorbed in ignorance that they don't even feel the misery. And he gave example of the trees. He said trees are standing there, exposed to all the elements, heat and cold, they can be chopped, whatever, branches can be broken, but because tree is in so much ignorance, tree doesn't even perceive the pain, right? It's like if someone is very drunk or stoned, right, under the influence of drugs, so many things can happen. That person doesn't even feel the pain, right? Like one guy, actually this is how LSD was discovered, because naturally it occurs in the fungus which covers the rye or wheat, I'm not sure. And then the grain which are affected by fungus somehow produces this acid which was called LSD later, right? And they discovered that because somehow there was like a crop affected by this fungus, and they didn't notice it, and then they harvested the grains and they made it into flour, and then people started eating this bread and they started going mad. And then they discovered this was this drug which went into the food, which went into the bread. And they've discovered, they are describing what was happening to people. Like one guy, he was a pilot, airplane, whatever, military pilot. And then after eating this bread, it went into his head, and he imagined that he turned into a plane himself, that he became an airplane. And so after that he stood on the edge of his window and he shouted, "Look, I became an airplane, I can fly." And he jumped off and it was like second or third floor. And he landed, fell down, landed on his legs, broke both of his legs. But then he stood up on the broken legs and he kept running on the broken legs before he was captured. He never felt the pain. Can you imagine? Like breaking both legs and not even noticing that? But under the influence of drug it can happen, right? And so people trying to alleviate pain by taking drugs and all these things, but devotee doesn't care about the miseries of this world. Oh yeah, I was telling about Prabhupada's morning walk. So Prabhupada said, these trees are so much in ignorance that they don't even feel pain, even though they're also living entities. And then one devotee said, but Srila Prabhupada, because devotees, they are not in ignorance due to their practices of Krishna consciousness, their consciousness becomes elevated. And so as a result, they do feel the pain of material existence. They go through miseries. And Prabhupada looked at him and he said, devotees go through miseries? No. Devotees, that this devotee was saying that devotees are suffering because they are not in ignorance. And Prabhupada said, devotee suffering? Devotee never suffers. And this disciple was confused. He said, but Srila Prabhupada, if devotees are still suffering, then what? And Prabhupada's response was, if he is suffering, he is not a devotee. Because devotee is on transcendental level. And he quoted from Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Buddha Prasanatmana Shochetina Kankshati. Sama Sarveshu Bhutishu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. That one who is on spiritual level never laments about anything and never hankers for anything. And such a person is equally disposed towards all living entities, and on such a level of consciousness one can dedicate himself to bhakti yoga, to start serving Krishna. So that's not even the advanced stage of devotional service, it's just the prerequisite to enter into Krishna consciousness. And so Prabhupada said, if someone is suffering, it means forget about devotional service. He haven't even started his spiritual life. He's not even on Brahman platform. What to speak of Paramatma, what to speak of Bhagavan, right? And Bhakti Yoga means Bhagavan platform. That's like the highest. And so this is really important for us, I think, in terms of practicing Krishna consciousness in a real sense, because sometimes devotees practice Krishna consciousness externally, but they never change their perception of things. They just add Krishna conscious practices as daily routine, as daily religious rituals, for whatever reason. Some people want cessation of pain, solve their problems, and some people want to improve their material conditioning, become better in whatever ways materially, achieve something. And other people, they're just curious what will happen if I will do that. What will happen to me if I will chant Hare Krishna for 30 years? well, you'll become 30 years older. But if you're not striving to change your consciousness, to make yourself Krishna consciousness, then nothing will happen after 30 years, right? Like, I think every morning we chant Bahujan Makari Yadishavana Kirtana. What's the Tabutana Paya Krishna and the Premadhana, that if someone is chanting Hare Krishna but is chanting offensively, not striving to become free from 10 offenses, from the offenses of the holy name, then nothing will happen after 30 years. He'll just become older, 30 years older, that's all. That's the whole result of 30 years of chanting. And so this is really important for us to realize that Krishna consciousness is little bit more than just following external religious ritualistic practices, right? That, okay, I came here, I bowed down to everybody and I drank something, and I haven't moved little bit my body in kirtan, okay, and so nodded a few times in the class, being, fully agreeing to what's been said. And what do you expect to change after that? So that's really important for us to kind of try to realize that Krishna consciousness is something which goes beyond the ritualistic religious practices in the morning, right? It has to be connected with our whole lives, everything, from A to Z. We see as, we see Krishna's hand. That this is one thing which is I guess the first step in Krishna conscious development, that we see Krishna's hand in everything in our lives and realize what is it that Krishna wants, how Krishna is leading me on the path, how do I develop my relationship with Krishna, what do I do for Krishna, right? And it says that if we fail to see Krishna's hand, one devotee said, we can feel Krishna's foot from behind. Right? That Krishna will help us to realize that we need to remember him. And it says sometimes, a man needs a good kick to learn to fly, right? And so it's like we choose what kind of relationship we want with Krishna, right? Kamsa chose his relationship with Krishna. He was Krishna conscious. He was thinking of Krishna 24/7 and was chanting the holy name of Krishna with great feeling, Krishna. Right? And so he chose his relationship with Krishna. So what was his relationship with Krishna? Fearing his whole life that Krishna will kill him, and what you meditate on, it happens to you, right? And then Krishna did kill him, and punched him few times to death, and then to show everyone that he is dead, if you remember that episode, he grabbed him by the hair and he was pulling him through the arena of sacrifice to show that he's really dead, and then he throw him on the floor. And so this kind of relationship comes a choice, right, with Krishna. And so it's actually important for us to understand that we choose our relationship with Krishna. And there are so many types of relationships with Krishna. We can either favorably serve Krishna, or have fear of Krishna, or have a negative feeling of Krishna, or just be indifferent towards Krishna, right? And so if we are indifferent towards Krishna, because Krishna says, Yeyatamam prapadyante tam statayo bhajamyaham, whatever, as you surrender unto me, I reward you accordingly, right? So if we are indifferent towards Krishna, then guess what kind of response we'll get from Krishna? Anyone? Yeah, Krishna will be indifferent to you, right? So you don't care about me, I don't care about you, okay? Life is going on, life will go on as it is without change, right? And then devotee may wonder, I'm chanting Hare Krishna for so long, but nothing changes, right? It doesn't seem that I'm advancing spiritually. Yes, because it is still our choice. It says that you can bring horse to the river, but you cannot force the horse to drink the water, right? So we can be in the process, and we may never be affected by the process. And unfortunately, you see those cases all the time. Someone in the process and nothing happens. Right? No change. Everything as it is, or as it was. So, but this is individual choice of everyone. And so it's always like that. That's why Shastra is always giving us this contrast, comparisons, right? Vasudev, Kamsa, Yashoda, and some demons, right? Demons trying to kill Krishna, Yashoda is trying to serve Krishna with love, so, etc., right? All Krishna's pastimes are like that. Demon, devotee, demon, devotee, demon, devotee, devotee, demon, etc. And sometimes even you can see devotee in the role of a demon, right? Like Indra is Krishna's devotee, but sometimes he is acting like a real demon, sorry to say, like trying to kill Krishna by, all this hail and thunder and torrential rainstorm. It's pretty demoniac, right? Trying to kill Krishna and all the devotees. And he's supposed to be a devotee. But then Vritrasura, who's supposed to be a demon, we discover he is a devotee. So why all these examples are given? Just to help us understand that our position means nothing. Consciousness, that's everything, right? Our desires, our feelings, our aspirations, that's everything what matters in life. And if we aspire to please Krishna and desire to serve Krishna by everything, not just ritualistically, I've done my thing. Like Prabhupada said one time jokingly, he showed his beads and he said, I've chanted my 16 rounds, now I can do any damn thing. Right? Just showing the example how even devotees, they sometimes think, okay, I've done my duty. I completed my religious performances. Now it is my life. I'll live my life, right? But it's very important to understand that everything in our life is connected to Krishna. And if we realize that, and if we act for Krishna's pleasure, that will never be affected by any reverses, any troubles in life. All right? So, anyone has any comments, questions?
It's very interesting how you're saying about Kamsa choosing his relationship and how he was a devotee with constantly going on Krishna. And then Krishna reciprocates exactly with which we approach him or to him.
Yeah, Kamsa was not a devotee, but he was Krishna conscious. So you can be Krishna conscious as not a devotee at all. That's the whole thing, that's the whole lesson. Be fearful of Krishna, and there are so many God-fearing people, right? Religious God-fearing people. So, but we do not say that God-fearing people are devotees. I mean, in a broader sense, they can be classified as devotees, but the real definition of a devotee is God-loving, right? Of course, it is still better to be demon in Krishna's pastime than a perfect man in the material world. Because, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, even demons who were killed by Krishna, they are better than me, because all these demons are already in the spiritual world and I'm still in the material world. That was his complaint.
And it was nice how you were saying that, like, if, or Prabhupada said that if somebody is suffering and they're not a devotee,
Yeah, something to think about.
I was thinking of Prahalad, like the torture that he went through.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't call out for help. He was just, it wasn't really affecting him.
Yeah, it's a good example. We have so many examples of great devotees who go through so many miseries but never been affected by those miseries. Yes, Ritesh.
Prabhupada mentioned, Prabhupada put so much stress on one ashram dharma, the four ashram, and how they're dividing as per the lifespan of 100 years. And nowadays, with only 100, we have to make 70 or 80. And that's the first thing, solely life is shortened. And second thing is, now people enter Grihastha ashram very late as well, like in 30s or late 30s. So it means it's going to make a big disturbance in the whole society, because he won't follow properly.
Yeah, that's why the process of Krishna consciousness is given, that no matter what's your situation, you have to surrender to Krishna And so if you're surrendered to Krishna, it doesn't matter what your situation is, and then you can achieve perfection, provided you're really serious about it. And even if you follow perfect life according to Varnashram, it says that if you live like that for 100 lifetimes, perfect life according to Varnashram, you can achieve the position of Lord Brahma. But then even from that position you can fall down. So perfect life according to Varnashram is pretty useless without Krishna consciousness. So that's why consciousness is everything. We can understand that even materially it is true, that everything depends on consciousness, right? That people have so many psychological problems, and actually psychological problems, they are affecting their relationships, their health, everything, right? They have this branch of medical science which is called psychosomatics, how the mentality affects the body, how the diseases are created by the consciousness. And so if the consciousness is rectified, then everything is rectified. So that's why Srila Prabhupada was stressing this point, that Krishna consciousness is the ultimate solution for everything. But sometimes devotees, they think ritualistic part of Krishna consciousness is the ultimate solution. No, it's Krishna consciousness. You know, that Prabhupada didn't call the movement Krishna religion or something like that, right? Movement for Krishna consciousness. It's a he has very solid reasons for that, to define it as Krishna consciousness. And it's Krishna consciousness as it is, that's the solution. But we have to work on it, we have to develop it. And the best way to develop it is to, well, of course, glorify Krishna, but also discuss topics connected to Krishna and development of Krishna consciousness in the association of devotees. And for that, you need to have very good relationship with devotees, trustworthy relationships, because if you don't have that, you can't really open your heart. And if you can't open your heart, you can't really discuss everything in relation to your life. And that's why Kapila Dev says, Satam prasanga mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha tajyoshana mashopavarga vartmani rasa bhakti ratira anukramishati. That in the association, in a very trustworthy association of devotees, satam prasanga, very, prasanga, prakrishta rupena sangha, means very deep sangha. Discussion of my pastimes, bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha, that it gives so much pleasure, it becomes like nectar, Rasayana katha, right? That Rasayana means nectar and katha means discussions, nectarian discussions. They give, they benefit, one has so much pleasure from listening and joy in the heart. And Tajyoshana Ashopavarga Vartmani, that very quickly this process liberates one from all the conditioning of the material existence, and Shradharatir Bhaktir Anukramishati. One after another, one develops Shraddha, faith in the process, actually even conviction in the process, full conviction, which is based on experience. We cannot become convinced just theoretically listening to spiritual knowledge. We have to put it in practice, and then once you have your own personal spiritual experience, you will become really convinced. No one can convince you otherwise, right? And you will develop attraction for Krishna, rati, and bhakti, love for Krishna. So that's the result of real sadhu sangha. So sadhu sangha is the foundation for everything else. All right. Yes.
Saying the name unconsciously, like for example, how Ajahn loved, like I'm assuming he said it unconsciously when he was just calling out to his son. Like how powerful is that? Like what is the power of that? Is there a limit to that power, saying it unconsciously?
Well, Srila Prabhupada explains, according to Shastra, that there are 3 stages in chanting of the holy name. One is namaparat, offensive chanting. Second one is namabas, clearing, at the stage of becoming free from offenses, and like the shadow. Abbas means shadow, like shadow holy name, and then Shuddhanama, pure holy name. And so the results of the 3 are also different. And surprisingly enough, the results of Namaparat, offensive chanting, is fulfillment of material desires. It's so funny, right? That even the very early stage of development of Krishna consciousness can fulfill all our material desires, but devotees are not interested in that. Rather, devotees become a little bit comprehensive about that, because Prabhupada explains that material desires, fulfillment of material desires, leads to misery. It's like this material world is just, place where there is a catch on every single step, right? Okay, you want this nice shiny thing, get it. And then, there is something attached to it, right? And you never seen that, the fine print like that. So devotees are not so much interested in the fulfillment of material desires, because they understand, okay, it leads to misery. I'm not really interested in that. And then Namabas leads to liberation. And so this is what Ajamil chanted, Namabas. He was not chanting the holy name offensively, because he was not even thinking that, okay, I'm chanting the name of Krishna. He was just thinking, I'm calling out my son. But he was calling with feelings. And actually, it says that when his son was not coming, and then he remembered actually that Narayan is the name of the Supreme Lord, and then he actually remembered the Lord in helpless condition, and then Vishnudutas appeared and saved him. So he was liberated from hell, from the perspectives of going to hell, but he survived the near-death experience, and then he had to go to Haridwar to continue with his practices, right? So Namabas can give you liberation, can save you from some troubles, right? But it doesn't mean that you go to the spiritual world. You still are conditioned. And it's funny, right, that you can become liberated, but you are still conditioned. by your material desires and consciousness. And so that's why after liberation you go back to your conditioning. Like some people, they spend so long in prison, and it's all over the world like that, that after they are released from prison, they can't relate to the free life, so they commit another crime and go back to prison, like that. So after liberation they again become conditioned. And so that's why devotees are not really interested in liberation, right? They want to chant Krishna's name with love and asking Krishna to engage them in devotional service, right? That's pure name, Shuddhanam. So that's the goal of our chanting and Krishna consciousness. Alright, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.